Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. This is Naming from CareerFly. I would like to first start about our information about CareerFly first. CareerFly, we are a recruitment agency and we are based in Tokyo. And we mainly help our international talents to their job hunting in Japan. So if you're interested in working in Japan and want to finally work in Japan, please don't hesitate to message us, email us, reach out to us on our SNS. And I would like to start from my personal information. So my name is Nami. I'm a career counselor at CareerFly Japan, and I'm originally from Mongolia, and I have been in Japan for 5 years so far, and I'm also JLPT 1 and 1 certified. So today, I would like to talk to you about improving your communication skills, especially in Japanese environment. If you're interested, please tune in. So first, I want to start off with our important point. I want to say that Japanese skills does not equal to good communication skills. No matter how much good Japanese skills you may have or certification of N1, it doesn't matter if you have a good communication skills in Japanese environment, especially your working environment. So you may be now wondering what is considered good communication skills in Japanese environment. We think teamwork and collectiveness regarding these communication skills is considered very good in especially Japanese working environment. And why is teamwork and collectiveness so important in Japan is that number one, historically speaking, in Japan, strong agriculture in ancient Japan has uniquely made to work in a team compared to from where I'm from in Mongolia, we are a nomad culture. So we move to different areas, we move to different places continuously in a cycle. But in Japan, because of the strong agricultural bond with the rice fields, they are made to work in a team. And current in Japan is that company structure in Japanese companies strongly depends on managing a team, especially a fixed structure in Japanese companies. So this is the reason why teamwork and collectiveness is very important in Japan, as well as communication between this teamwork team is very, very crucial to succeed in Japanese environments. So you may be wondering in Japanese company structure, what is very, very important to consider is that proactive communication with your manager or your leader or the person who is managing a team needs to know about their team members, what they are doing, when are they doing, how are they doing. So they need to know about these information, and the team member needs to have proactive communication with the leader within the company. And usually the team consists of members in their 20s or junior engineers, if we're talking about in IT manufacturing. They all need to report to the team leader or the manager of the project. So the reason why the teamwork communication is very, very crucial is that you are hardly work by yourself. You're always in a work with a team or coworker or a team leader with you. The reason why in Japan, especially with the unique culture aspect, is that proactive communication is very, very important. And specifically, members in their 20s, they are needed to have good communication skills to convey the message to the team leader or the management positions. Otherwise, it will be difficult to maybe promotion when the time comes for you, or it will be difficult to also be considered as a good team member within your company. And we are specifically talking about IT and manufacturing domain as well, because IT and manufacturing teams, they have giant projects and they need to have multiple team members, teams, designing team, engineering team. They have different multiple teams, different multiple leaders as well. So the more complicated as well as fixed structured domain like IT and manufacturing, the more your communication skill is needed and measured for your career skills. I hope you are so far okay with this explanation. So I would like to share some information for your reference. So this is a survey that we have taken from an online platform called FabCross for Engineers. So as you can see from this graph, blue, orange, and gray are three colors. So from orange is senior members over 30 years old in IT field, and gray is in also senior members over 30 in manufacturing field, and others are blue color, which means other domains except IT and manufacturing. So for these result, as you can see, senior members over in all of these categories want their junior members to increase their communication skills. So first here, right here, the first column is communication skills in Japanese companies. So over 59%, more than 60% in each wants their junior members to increase their communication skills. If you are interested in more to understand about this survey or other surveys, please click on this link that we have shared. So for now, as you can see that the senior members want their junior members to increase their communication skills. And that is not only for Japanese members, that is also for foreigner members as well. So it's junior members in their 20s needs to specifically work on their communication skills to succeed within a teamwork. So for the next slide, I would like to give 5 tips for communication skills, our CareerFly tips. And as you can see, these are very basic, but at CareerFly, we think if you really succeed in nailing the basic tips, you are able to succeed much higher levels in your career. So as you can see, first is informing logically, listening to others, sharing schedule and planning, and accepting advice from others, and as well as thanking and apologizing when it is necessary as well. So I'd like to go one by one. So one is informing logically. You can see from good and bad example is conclusion first talking, and bad example is speaking nonstop. You don't know when to stop. So I've had many experience about number one, especially, and this is my private, what do you call it? This is also was really difficult for me to overcome this. And I'm still working on it as well, that in many first, and then you can talk about in details. And bad example is just speaking nonstop. Basically, the other people are not going to understand your point or just going to be lost in your talk. So if you are thinking that you can speak very well as a conclusion first, I think you have nailed this number one tip. But if you still have a difficulty speaking logically, based on data, based on result, based on conclusion, I think you should work on this tip number 1. Okay, so moving on to number 2 tip, listening to the other person who is talking to you. This is also very basic, but a good example could be trying to understanding what the other person is trying to convey. A lot of the times, Japanese people are very indirect about their speaking. So I also had this problem a lot. I didn't understand a lot when some person was trying to tell me something. And another bad example I did that I was pretending to understand, but this is not a good way. So the good example is trying to understand. And if you don't understand, always confirming about the other person's points, or always repeating if your understanding is correct. So this is another very basic but simple and important one of the communication skills in Japanese environment. Moving on to number 3 tip, sharing plan and scheduling. So for this one in Japan, I think when you are working in a team, you are also using other person's time, other person's scheduling as well. So when you are planning something, you always have to consider the other person's schedule if the deadline works. And you have to share each plan and steps to the other person who is working with you. In my case, I have my manager. So whenever we are planning something, I always consider my manager's schedule and the deadline schedule and how we can plan this to make into the deadline. So another bad example would be not making the deadline, which is a lack of communication, lack of sharing the plan and scheduling. And it doesn't have to be succeeding making deadline. If you schedule the plan and if you find out, oh, we're not going to be able to make this deadline, then as soon as you find that date, you can reschedule it. In that case, the communication skill is considered very good if you know these above beforehand. So this is very important in our teamwork as well. And since if you are an engineer, you will be working with either 3 to 5 person or within 10 members. And if you're a coder or programmer, you also have to have your code reviewed, or you have to report to your team leader. In these cases, it's very crucial to share your plan and schedule your planning to the people who are working with you. And moving on to number 4 tip is accepting advice. Pretty basic as well. If somebody's giving you constructive criticism or giving advice, agreeing first, or finding out why this advice could be good for the team. Because if somebody's giving you advice, it is about the teamwork. It is about the team succeeding together. It is not about necessarily personal advice, but it's considered and connected to the teamwork as well. Another bad would be not making effort to understand the other person's advice and being stubborn. So this is also pretty basic, but make sure to accept the advice from others when you are in Japanese environment. And number 5, thanking and apologizing when it is necessary. It is pretty self-explanatory in Japan that you have to thank and apologize in necessary scenarios and situations, and not even daily lifestyle as well. So make sure to thank and apologize to your coworkers, team leaders, whenever there is a communication between you. So far, I have shared you the 5 tips to work on your communication skills in Japanese environment. So let me go over it one more time. Informing logically, listening to the others, and sharing and scheduling your plan, and accepting the advice, and of course, thanking and apologizing in your working environment. And these are pretty basic. And you may think that you're doing very well, but you don't know how to measure it. If you want to measure your communication skills, we have a great announcement. So we have a CQI test provided by CareerFly Japan. If you have seen our streaming before, we have had about 2 streamings to introduce our CQI test. So from our CQI test, you can find out the culture fit, and also in the graph that you can see, such as the red would be Japanese culture, and then red would be your result. So you can see the difference of the cultural characteristics and also your communication skills and how, for example, right here, formal communication or informal communication. So in this case, the examinee is blue right here, but Japanese culture is right in the middle. So you can see that this person who took this test was more into formal communication rather than informal communication. And also for this test, you can find out your overall fit in Japanese working environment. You can check about 4 different company types, more into traditional companies, startup companies, or different culture with each companies. You can check from it to take this exam. And price for our CQI test is you can get your result in English and Japanese. And we have 3 basic plans. And we have a basic plan for 3,500 yen, which is you will get your result in PDF form in English and Japanese. With CareerFly plan, you can get your result and you can get our explanation. With CareerFly, we can give you proper advice about which one to work on, which one to look out for as well. For advanced plan, you can get your result, of course, and you will get our explanation. And plus alpha, you will get our one-on-one career consultations. You can choose me or our members as well. Depending on your work, we have also specialization area as well. And now we have special campaign until December 31st. The advanced plan is 4,500 yen. So if you're interested, please take this opportunity to take our CQI test. And I would like to repeat my important point that I wanted to share to you is that Japanese skills, having N1, N2 Japanese skills does not equate to good communication skills. Of course, Japanese skills can be a foundation to work on your communication, but it is not the same. Please don't forget about it. So I would like to move on to the Q&A time. If you're interested, please comment down below about your question. And if you're interested, please send us an email at this email right here that I'm showing with a description of CQI test. Okay, I will be waiting just a couple more seconds to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please leave your comments here. Okay, so I guess there will be no questions this time, but if you are watching this later after we upload to our SNS channels, please feel free to message, comment down below so we can answer your questions and your inquiries as well. Thank you very much for joining in, and I hope you have a nice day.